Hey guys, so I am sitting here with my good friend Todd Sylvester, and I want to tell you a little bit about this guy. I've had a chance to work with him and what it is that he's up to. We've been talking about branding and the message that you have to share, and
Sure.
I really like this guy and what he's going after because what he's doing really does matter. And I don't want this to get too heavy and serious because it can get,
Sure.
that way.
Yeah.
Todd is focused on helping those with addiction. And I think you may have saw a couple of my tweets where I talked about losing some loved ones to addictions.
Yeah.
Two in the past year, and so we decided we were going to talk about it. But before we get into that, it's always important to get to know that guy. And so I always like to ask a couple interesting questions, and everyone knows what my first question is, which is, what is your favorite cereal?
Favorite cereal,
Yes.
Captain Crunch.
For real?
No brainer.
Crunch Berries?
Regular
Okay.
Captain Crunch. Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team's probably the Oakland Raiders.
Soon to be Vegas.
Yeah, soon to be Vegas, and I will be going to some games when they're in Vegas for sure.
Very cool.
It'll be nice.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Your favorite Disney character?
Mickey Mouse.
Really?
Yep.
Just the OG.
The OG.
Do you know what OG
That's a-
means?
Original gangster.
Oh,
Todd.
good, dude.
Yeah.
Good. Most people don't know that. So that's good. All right.
Yeah.
Favorite Star Wars character?
Oh boy, probably Yoda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wisdom.
Wisdom.
Always very important.
Don't
Favorite sport
try.
to play? You played in college.
Basketball for sure.
You played college ball, yeah, for a little bit?
Well,
We're going to talk about that.
yes.
We're going to talk about
I
that.
should have played college ball.
Yeah, this
but
guy's got some
something
game.
else got in the way.
This guy's got some game. Your greatest accomplishment?
Overcoming my addiction.
So
Absolutely.
Let's get into that.
Sure.
So addictions are real, guys, and I actually am hoping that a couple of you guys out there may be able to benefit from what we're going to talk about, because I lost a loved one recently. And I also have some very important people to me right now, one that we've actually talked about earlier today, that I love very much that struggle with addiction. And I'm learning more and more that most people have, on some level, an addiction, and but some can be deadly or life-threatening.
Sure.
And a lot of them just don't know what to do.
Right.
They don't know where to go. They're scared of how people will respond if they know that they have problems.
Absolutely.
And Todd here has been through it. So will you tell these guys a little bit about kind of your story?
Yeah. So, I'm sitting here really because of what happened to me when I was 11 years old. I started sipping on some alcohol in my dad's wet bar they had in the basement.
How old were you?
11 years old. Me and my brother, both my parents worked, and so we'd go and just, what's this taste like? And I didn't get hammered or anything, but I started kind of thinking, whoa, this is kind of cool to be doing. This is kind of risky, kind of thing.
Did it make you feel good?
Not necessarily. Well, I guess it did, in the sense that I knew I was like, wow, that was kind of a rush that I'm kind of doing that. And
As
then
an 11-year-old, wow.
And then that kind of off and on. And then when I turned 14 is when I got invited to Bear Lake with one of my friends. And when we pulled up to the campsite, he kept me back in the car. And when everyone got out of the car, he pulled out a 1/4 ounce of weed, sandwich bag full. And I'd never seen it before. I'm 14. I'm like, what's that? He's like, it's pot. And he says, we're going to smoke this entire bag and you're going to love it. I didn't even hesitate. I'm like, sure, let's try it. And we did. We pounded that bag in 4 days, and I fell in love. Wow. And I was like, and I had this all or nothing mentality. And when that kicked in, I said, I'm going to do this every day.
Did you feel like you were doing something wrong?
To be honest, no, I didn't. It didn't. Back then, I think a lot of families didn't talk about these kind of things.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we didn't sit at the dinner table, hey guys, stay away from this or stay away from that. We just didn't talk about those things. And so I just thought it was good, innocent fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, now, in a lot of cases, marijuana is viewed as medicinal and,
Right.
okay, and doctors prescribe it.
Sure.
Do you feel like that could be taken advantage of, or that people are doing
Well,
that?
absolutely. I think there was a statistic, and don't quote me on this, but it's somewhere around 70 to 80% of those that have a medical marijuana card don't need it for medical issues.
Interesting.
And so it is abused in that way. I do think there might be some healthy benefits for people who are suffering from certain things, but I have some really strong opinions otherwise on that as well.
I know that's a hot topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I look back at my friend who just passed away, and it started with prescription drugs at a very young age. I mean, I remember him talking about it when he was 13, 14.
Yeah.
He got it from friends or older brothers, and it just naturally took its course until it took his life.
Yeah.
And it frustrates me because I remember saying, what are you doing? Knock it off, man. Like,
Right.
oh, it's no big deal. Shut up, man.
Yeah.
Knock it off. You should try it off or try it out. It makes life better. Man, I can't think about it too long because it makes me choke up. And I think sometimes that people don't realize that when they are an addict, it's kind of a selfish move, right?
Absolutely.
And so they don't necessarily care at all about the people that they're affecting as well,
Yeah.
And so
It's absolutely selfish.
yeah.
You'll lie, cheat, steal, manipulate, pay, destroy yourself just to get that high.
It's crazy. It's craziness. And so it's so hard to overcome these addictions. And I have loved ones that have actually, taken initiative and are trying to fix, some of these addictions that they're dealing with. I mean, what would you say to someone out there that might be struggling with an addiction that just don't know what to do, or maybe realize that they have a problem, but maybe aren't really focused on making a change at the moment? I mean, do you normally deal with people that are, about to die that actually decide to speak with you, or like, what would you say to these guys?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a mix. I see a lot of people who, typically the client I'm seeing, they want to change. They're to that point where they've, if you want to call it rock bottom or whatever, they've kind of lost everything, and the pain is just so intense that they're finally to that place where I got to figure this out. And it's one of those things where it's a hard topic to talk about. One of the toughest things for any one of us to do is to admit that we need help or that we're struggling, man. Even to our closest friends, it's hard to go, hey, so-and-so, I just want you to know, man, I'm struggling and I need help. It's even hard to do that to a close friend sometimes.
I'd be curious, is there anyone that actually comes to see you that has not maybe had an issue with a family or friend? They actually just decide in that moment that they need to make a change? So it wasn't actually pushed on them by someone, a loved one, like that actually make the choice to just...
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I had this just a couple weeks ago. I had a mom and a dad bring their son who was struggling with drugs and having an addiction, and they wanted some help. And so we did our initial session, and I'm telling them what I feel and believe about overcoming addiction and the principles that I teach that I've learned for 20 plus years. And the mom breaks down and starts crying, and I'm like, what's up? What's going on? She's like, and she literally goes, I need this. She wasn't there for her. She was there for her son. And then she hears these things and goes, I need this, Todd. I need help. And I was like, kind of taken back a little bit, but in that moment she realized, I need this.
Wow.
So now I'm working with her.
Wow. So there is one thing that to me, that really sets you apart from anyone that I've spoken to. And you've worked with a couple of my friends. The one thing that I really, really like about what it is that you teach or promote, push, and tell those that you're working with is that you can actually be done with your addiction. Done for good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these other, programs kind of say you will always be a recovering addict.
Right.
But Todd pushes and promotes, no, you can be done.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because that is in my opinion, one of the biggest myths in addiction recovery, that I'm always going to be in recovery for the rest of my life. Talk about, almost feels like a death sentence.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to have to deal with this every single day the rest of my life. I'll never forget, I was in a meeting getting help. I was a young kid just trying to figure this out. And it was like, you are going to be like this the rest of your life. And I remember the despair that I felt. It was like, holy hell. I'm going to have to deal with this the rest of my life. And what I've learned through not only my own experience, but dealing with almost 10,000 clients now over the last 20 years is that you can be done. over, recovered, not in recovery. It's completely recovered. Tony Robbins has one of my favorite quotes. I share this with my clients all the time. He says, if you're counting the days, it's not lasting change.
Interesting.
Wow, and it's so powerful. Like,
I've never heard
why count if I'm done? All you're doing is, if you're counting the time between the next time you relapse.
That's so true.
So if I'm done, why count? So, and really what I do with my program is I help, what I call it is helping the client wake up. Wake up to who you really are. You're not this broken, damaged, diseased person. You're powerful beyond measure. You don't even know that. But I try to help them wake up to that reality. Meaning you can say, I'm done. Now here's the thing. You can say you're done, but you better be doing the work.
Yeah, man.
Behind the scenes, yeah. I better be. It's like, I look at you, Scott, honestly, and I mean this from my heart. I mean, you're very successful. You've worked hard. And from a distance, I can go, oh, wow, Scott's so blessed. He's got so many gifts and talents, which you do. But no one sees the work you put behind the scenes. The blood, sweat, and tears, the sleepless nights, the mornings you're up at 4 a.m. working your butt off. See, so therefore, you're paying a price.
Yeah.
If I'm done, it's because I'm paying a price behind the scenes that no one sees. But I'm telling you, you can be recovered.
Yeah, that's I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So
when Todd and I started working, we started talking about what's the message that you want to share with the world, and what it came down to together as we decided is his website is I am recovered. You're making a statement. I'm done. Like, I'm convinced, committed that I will push aside all the stuff that's held me back for so many years. And so check his website out when you get a chance. You know, I'm blessed, I guess, I've never really struggled with addiction, life-threatening, but there are other addictions.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, people joke about it. I have an addiction to cereal.
Yeah, we all know that.
People laugh. The thing is people laugh. Oh, it's so funny, Scott. You know, how many bowls you had last night? You know, but I know I probably need to slow it down, but I do think that I have an addictive personality, but what I have tried to do, and I think this is because I've had good leaders in my life at church and my parents, that they've taught me how to focus on turning away from the things that can become negative addictions to positive addictions or focuses in your life. Do you push or promote that? How do you really get these folks that you're dealing with to really believe that they can end this addiction? And they likely do have addictive personalities, so how do you teach them to focus on other things?
Yeah, well, first of all, addiction, a beautiful addiction definition that I came across with one of my colleagues that I work with. She says that addiction is the perpetual avoidance of legitimate suffering.
It's deep. Okay.
And yeah, powerful but deep, but right on the money. And what I said earlier is that human beings will lie, cheat, steal, manipulate, pay, destroy just to feel different. Different from what? Different from the belief that something's wrong with them, which causes us to suffer on some level. See, you get a little bit of a relief by having a big bowl of Captain Crunch, right? What's your favorite cereal, by the way?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Lucky Charms a close second.
So you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's a
it's my happy place.
It's your happy place.
And I do it before bed.
Yep.
And normally, my kids are asleep and my wife's reading in the other room, and I'm just slurping on my cereal and I'm just happy.
Yeah. But
it's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth.
But that's your way on some level to alleviate some kind of suffering that you're going through. And the suffering might be distress from work, a really busy schedule, those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, so the past 3 years of my life have been the most stressful years of my life with regard to work.
Right.
And it's like I look forward to having a bowl of cereal. And but that could be smoking a bowl on the other side.
Smoking a bowl,
knocking
popping
down
a pill, hit a shot before you go to bed.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff.
So, I mean, in hearing that, do you believe that everyone has an addiction on some level? Everyone?
You know, that's a tough one. It seems to be that way, but I think there are people that don't, honestly. I got a few friends that I can have, And I mean, based on what I can see, some of them don't have any really big issues or addiction that we would label as. But I think most people suffer. I really do. I think on some level we're all suffering.
Yeah.
And what do? We do something to medicate that, self-medicate, to cope, like you said just a minute ago. And whether it's a bowl of cereal or whatever. But so I do think on some level everyone's suffering.
So a question, and this is a hot topic as well. I have an 11-year-old son. He wants an iPhone or a Droid or whatever.
Yeah.
And do you believe that there's an addiction to a device?
Absolutely, 100%.
For kids? I am shocked. I learned the other day that the average female spends 17 minutes a day filtering, tweaking, changing their photos that they post on social media. Men, 6 minutes.
Yeah. Wow.
So for me to hear that, I believe that there is an addiction to this device and people liking, commenting, portraying a life that may be different. I mean, how would you? I think that's an addiction on some level.
Well, absolutely. Again, it's that avoidance of legitimate suffering. It's that bowl of cereal almost. We're whipping through our feed here and like, whoa, and we're just, for a minute there, we're getting some instant gratification, instant gratification, as opposed to, let's leave the phone on the fridge for the entire day and then look at it maybe at the end of the day and to see what happened, kind of thing. Most people don't do that. There's a statistic out there, and I can't remember the source. I actually heard it from Simon Sinek. Amazing dude, by the way, just came out with a new book called Find Your Why.
I love that.
Which, by the way, shameless plug, I actually, portion of my story made his book.
Well, nice.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Really cool. But he had a statistic that 60 to 65% of ADD is misdiagnosed.
That's terrible.
Because what's happening is social media and the way it's set up, it creates a shortfall in our attention span.
Interesting.
Our attention span's 5 seconds. Boom, boom. Look at that for a second. Boom. We can't just sit there for a half hour and just be. We have to be like doing something,
Yeah, I agree.
And so there is an addiction to that, absolutely.
So let's finish up with this. What would you say? I know that there are people. In fact, I've had people respond that they've either lost a loved one to an addiction, they're currently dealing with a loved one that had an addiction, they're divorced to an addict.
Yeah.
Their relationship has ended because of an addict. They are an addict themselves. What would you share with all of them in closing, with regard to dealing with an addiction on some level?
Yeah, great question. And there's so many people in those shoes that are dealing with the heartache and pain of seeing their loved one or a family member or a friend kind of thing going through this horrible, horrible thing, and their lives just self-destructing. One of the greatest things that we need to recognize as human beings is that we are the only one we can control is ourselves. Like I say this to my clients, and this might seem a little strange, but I will say, I'm married. I love my wife, Bonnie, beautiful woman. I have 4 amazing kids who are all doing great things in life. They do not make me happy. Sounds weird, huh? To hear that.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. I choose to be happy. Now, do they enhance my happiness? Do they add to it? Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. But if I put all my happiness in them, I'm in trouble. I have to understand that I am in charge of me. It's on me. I'm 100% responsible for me. Even if I have a kid who's doing drugs, as hard as that is, and I will help them as best I can, at the end of the day, it's on us.
Right.
So if my world around me is kind of crumbling because of addiction and I see family members suffering, at the end of the day, I can still choose to be happy because I'm in charge of me.
So true.
I know that's hard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's just so easy, but I'm telling you, when we realize that and we embrace that truth and we do it, it helps us get through these difficult times without self-destructing, I guess, even on our own.
Oh, I love that, man.
If that makes sense.
Well, I appreciate what you shared, and I totally agree. It all starts with yourself. You got to believe in yourself, positive affirmations, and so on. I mean, that kept me going in a lot of time during a lot of times, you know, over the course of the last few years when things got really, really rough. And but it's all about personal worth and believing in yourself. And so I appreciate that, Todd. So where can people find you?
Yeah, thank you. And my honor to be here with you, Scott.
Yeah,
I think the world of Scott, everyone out there, I know you love this guy, so do I. And I'm grateful for this opportunity. I have a website out there. It's ToddSylvesterInspires.com. The I Am Recovered website's on its way, just so you know. It's getting there.
Good.
But you know, my handle for social media is TS Inspires. Would love to have your feedback on this and your support in any way that I can there. I have a free ebook. It's free. It's doing really well. And so if you need help with a loved one, you want to get them help, go to my website and download the free ebook, and you can give it to a loved one or read it yourself, and
awesome.
go from there. So thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yep.